So for all practical purposes, the boat is complete. It's ready to go to the water. Still got one engine wants to act like a fool, but other than that, we're good to go. So no more major projects to make videos of until it gets in the water. So I thought I'd go back and pick up some of the clips that we've missed in the past and make a little random projects video. We gave the lower helm some much needed attention. It was like any 45-year-old boat. It had devices added over the years and holes patched and more devices added. So I just took a saw and cut the whole side out of the helm, and I replaced it with cutting board from Walmart. It's nice plastic. It's easy to work. It's much better material for installing gauges in than even a fresh piece of plywood. Another issue the lower helm had is that it was flimsy as all get out. It was a cheap piece of molded plastic with a few pieces of plywood glued to the back. The bottom portion is totally cut in half by the switches, and it just felt like when you were operating the throttles and the shifters that the whole thing was going to break. So I glued plywood on top of the panel where the shifters go. That helped. I epoxied the top and bottom edge of the long switch panel, which did most of the damage because it's such a long cut, and that helped. But the biggest improvement was getting underneath the panel and putting two steel brackets from next to the shifters back to the front of the console. It was rigid, so right now everything feels pretty good. There's two kinds of windows that go in boats. The first kind leaks. The second kind leaks, but you just don't know it. So I'm making these little rain gutters to go over the top of the windows to help. I know this won't solve all the problems, but this will help divert a lot of the water. And I'm cutting them out of these door extrusions or window extrusions. Step one was to cut them to length. Cut off some of the ends that were crushed and trying to cut around some of the big holes that were in them, but I ended up with enough, so step one worked out well. So you can actually cut aluminum with any carbide blade, but I happen to have a non-ferrous metal cutting blade. It's not quite as aggressive of a cut. It's a little less scary. So, but I've used a regular blade. This one just works a little better, so I'm gonna swap them. Third cut will be right here to remove this little piece so I can have a nice joint at the top for a caulk. So now I'm taking a grinder with a little flap disc and kind of easing some of these edges because they're kind of sharp right now. So they're painted white, they're caulked into the boat, and then the little lip on top is caulked, and they work really good right now catching leaves from the trees. So we picked up this swim step to put on the boat because we always like to get in the water in the summer, and you got to be able to get out the water. This is a super heavy duty swim step. I think it's made for divers when they have tanks on and stuff, and it's very awkward to get in and out the water. And it's going to mount right here on the side of the engine bracket. But man, this thing is like 3 feet long the bolt holes are only like 3 inches apart, which looks like, man, with a 200-pound person on it, that's gonna put an incredible amount of torque. And the aluminum here is a 1/4 inch thick, so it's pretty darn steady. But just in case, I cut 2 plates out of 1/2 inch metal. I'm gonna put one on the outside and one on the inside. The one on the outside should take the compression force at the bottom and keep the stainless steel plate from denting in the aluminum. The one on the inside should spread the tension. These upper bolts are going to be wanting to bend out. The 2 plates were cut out of the same channel, that aluminum channel that I cut the steering bracket out of. So the ladder bracket is installed, and it is a pretty cool design. It's very strong. I'm going to climb on it, bounce on it, and there's not even a hint of movement up here. So it's strong. It's got this design where you can turn it upside down and get it out the water. It sticks straight up, or you can just pick it up and turn it and take it off. Keep it safe and sound locked up somewhere. So you're looking at our new light and you're looking at water. Kind of depressing. Problem is, it's right below this light fixture for the anchor light. Got one of those little posts that stick in this thing, and it's all full of holes. And here in Louisiana, we get regular downpours of like 1 inch an hour. So sometimes water can go uphill, and sometimes water will actually pond 1/4 inch thick on a flat surface because it just can't run off fast enough. So I think that's what happened to this little thing. I think the water just came down so fast it went in the hole. So I'm going to seal this hole up, and I don't know what we're going to do with the anchor light, but we have a bimini top going on this, and we're going to build a canvas top for the big deck, so it probably will end up getting mounted on top of the frame that holds the canvas top. For now, I'm just going to cut the wires and seal the hole, and I can get to the wires at a later date because there's a pretty good size hole under this light fixture. So I patched this hole the easy way. I just sanded the top clean. I glued a little piece of flat fiberglass down, and we'll paint it white. It is directly under the handrail that goes on top of this. The handrail leans in, so there's no way in the world anybody's ever going to see it or trip on it or step on it. So I just kept it simple this time. This will be the finished product for the anchor light hole covering for now, until at some time in the future we decide where to put the thing permanently.